Alright, today I'm going to discuss the many lies that are sold to you by this like dog shit company EF. They blow smoke into your ears and convince you to, pack your bags, move your whole life across the world, only to almost immediately see the many glaring contradictions seconds after you land. Like there's lies and malice at every turn, and they manage to turn this simple ass job into a hellish nightmare. Alright, first and foremost, what you're sold on. I'm sure you know what you're sold on by those recruiters. The perfect opportunity to work and travel around China. You won't have many responsibilities, just show up and work hard. They say this with a smile on their face and a wet spot in their pants. The goal here is to get you all riled up and excited to come, which you should be because new country, new opportunities. Who knows what can happen? And it's here that things quickly fall apart. They want you to have like a pretend lesson to students as a quote-unquote teaching task before they finish filing your paperwork to come. This is a lesson, by the way, that is like completely made up. Like there's no actual kids there. There's no lesson. There's no anything. They just say, oh, teach these 5 things and give you no guidelines whatsoever. Yes, this is all in your imagination. You're teaching ghosts. And then you send that video to them. But in reality, it's just you jumping around like a clown. Where do I start? The second that you get here, they don't greet you at the airport. They instead just send a fucking Didi driver. Well, Didi is like Uber here in China. But they don't speak English, and they only are going by a picture of you, and then boom, they drive you down to the Paco Hotel, at least that's what we do. I don't know, maybe different for another city. You can possibly catch a few Z's for the incredible jet lag you had. My flight was 33 fucking hours, but to top it all off, Qatar Airways, yes, I'm naming them, they broke my fucking luggage. So I had to wheel around, 50 kilos of luggage, one of them with their broken leg. Great, awesome. Now, let's get back on track. Yeah, the reality is, remember that how you've been told, you're gonna not have more than 24 teaching hours a week? Well, that was a fucking lie. Realistically, or at least at the shithole I ended up at, you're close to like the maximum before overtime, which is 30. But they don't count it like per hour. It's more ACH. One ACH is 40 minutes. And you're not supposed to have no more than 30 of those. Realistically, that's not the case, because if we add up admin and other things, it goes over that. But back to what I was saying. On average, you're going to do 27 plus admin plus meetings or anything else they want to squeeze out of you. I'm trying to, to and from work is all the traveling you'll be doing. Because remember, this isn't actually a school, it's a training center. This is something else that they don't tell you before, jumping on that plane. A training center here is an after-school paid tutoring type deal, which sounds good on paper, but oh boy, in reality, it's miserable. So, you're working from 2 to 8:30 on weekdays, which kills any real social life that you thought you were going to live, unless you want to hang out with your coworkers, and that's if you like your coworkers. I did, most of them. Then you don't get me started on those fucking weekend shifts that start at 8:30 to 6:10 Saturday and Sunday. And at full time you'll be teaching class with little to no prep time. So you know what that means? Taking your work up. Hang on, let me backtrack because I need to explain how the workday works differently. Remember how I said it's an after school class type shit? These schools, I'll say in air quotes, are in the middle of malls usually. So like you don't even have an actual building. Shit. Let me explain the hours. On your average weekday, you gotta have your happy ass there by 2 o'clock to start prepping for your evening classes, usually. Because those classes start around 5. But remember how I said you would have a meeting or a training or any other shit that they just shove into your schedule? So it shortens the time that you have to prepare for good lessons, which I pride myself on doing. Because who the fuck wants half-ass done lessons? Now, if I was given the proper time and space to do so, they could have been even better. But remember how I said get comfortable taking your work home? Let's talk about that now. Now, the workload at EF is dog shit, I tell you. It's just when you think things can't get worse
Artillery
and they
targeting
can't get
detected.
any busier, don't you worry your sweet
Net
pittance
call.
because
Incoming
your
artillery.
dingus managers and leaders will constantly find new ways to fuck you in the face with arduous tasks and courses and recommendations for you to do.
This is
Anytime
We're
there's a
behind.
gap in your schedule, they'll just fill it with what I call fucking anime filler.
Enemy spy
They
plane
call it
inbound.
activity class, which it's meant for students who are waiting to be put into an actual class. But what you actually end up with are a bunch of fucktards who are already in class and aren't supposed to be there. Either that, or it's fucking literal diaper shitting toddlers. Because our age range at our school is from 3 years old to 18 years old. But in these activity classes, more often than not, you have fucking 2-year-olds in there that don't even know what
Hostile spy plane
It's
established
ridiculous.
overhead.
And then the students that are there are usually longtime students, and it's just daycare at that point. Wait, I'm getting off track. Look, back to the workload. Say you have a gap in your schedule. I'll use mine as an example. I have a class at 5 o'clock. That's 1 hour class, 5 to 6. And then another class from 7:30 to 8:30. They'll see that gap in the schedule and say, shit. Free real estate. Let me shove some shit in there without telling you. And sometimes, yeah, but most of the time they just won't say shit. They just pop it onto your schedule, and you should check your schedule so that you know. But oh no, God forbid you're late getting there, they have to cancel it. But here's the reality: they won't. Even if it's just one student, they are not going to cancel it. But they get a little bit more scummier. Activity class used to be 40 minutes, which is a perfect time frame, to introduce something new, get new students interested, and everyone have a good time.
Enemy spy
But
plane
no,
inbound.
my brain dead Harper Doss, which is a director of studies, is like a head of the academic department there, decided that, yeah, let's stretch this shit to an hour so that we can milk more doubloons from parents. Oh, and speaking of doubloons, these parents are paying 12,000 RMB every few months for this shit? This mediocrity? Let's see, 12,000 RMB is almost $2,000 every 3 months. That is insane when you think about it. This shit is mediocre as hell. And if you're really unlucky on a weekday, you could have the teacher meeting, that's 1 hour. Meeting with the progress advisor or the PAs, I don't know, their job is very unclear. And then, boom, 3 hours of class, back to back, including taking students from the class to the front with their bogus ass goodbye song that they make you sing. And if you don't like singing that shit, well, you're not being a team player. It's something that's a routine for them. Oh well, who gives a fuck? Well, let me get back. You can work a 6-hour Saturday and Sunday. Now, I know 6 hours doesn't sound like a lot. Like, it sounds like your normal everyday job. But when it's 16 student temperamental sped troglodytes, it's really draining. And I don't wish that on my worst enemy. And if you're really, really, really unlucky, like our center was, you have to do that shit on the odd week and the even week. Yeah, you're just getting fucked in the faces with class. Now for the worst part, the hell on earth. Summer and winter course. Remember how I said, wait, I didn't actually say, but you get 2 days off a week? But for 7 weeks in the summer and for 20 straight days in the winter, you can kiss that shit goodbye. Now you're working 6 days a week teaching extra courses on top of your regular courses. This is their summer course, where they offer you and the other Lawai get the wonderful opportunity to teach phonics. And I say that shit in air quotes because it's fucking bullshit. There's no real meaningful content that you're teaching in that course. You're basically A says ah, B says buh until the fucking cows come home. Oh, and here's the kicker. For the older students, this class is 3 hours long. The little tykes get the little luxury of having theirs to be an hour and a half. 40 minutes, 10-minute break, 40 minutes. But the older students, 3 hours. What the fuck could you possibly learn in a 3 hours long class 4 times a week on top of your normal classes? And this isn't a school. This is after school shit. Like, who has the time for this shit? Wait, no. Let me get back. And during this time, there's no prep time for anything. So you're basically working 7 days a week at that point. And I don't even know what to do with this. Like 7 days a week almost, because let's say you have a 9 a.m. class, that's 3 hours. And then boom, a 1:15 to 4:15 class, that's 3 hours. That's already 6 hours. And you still have your normal evening classes. Whose idea was this? Yeah, that one day off that you get, no, you're still gonna basically be working because you have to plan your lessons. Just to like at least keep your head above the water. They get away with this somehow. I don't know how this isn't like defined as a 996 hours, but I don't fucking know, man. I'm not a lawyer or anything, employment law type shit. But this is only amplified in the winter course. Remember how I said like summer course sucks ass? Winter course is where we worked fucking 20 days in a row. No days off before Chinese New Year. And then after Chinese New Year, we worked a full 14 days in a row. No off days. Tell me where and how that makes sense to like work your employees to the bone for the sake of some extra doubloons from the parents, you know, just milking them. And from these dimwits, like actually, yes, I call those parents dimwits because they are. But before we move on, yeah, it's a job. It has flaws. But it's different when you consistently say that you're working on reducing the workload, that was only temporary, and then proceed to run trains on your employees with the things that you just keep adding and adding and adding and adding to their schedule, while simultaneously emptying yours because in your words, a DOS shouldn't have to teach classes. My ACH during summer course was 45.7 a week for most of it. The contract states that it shouldn't be more than 40 during the peak period. Now that's just disgusting. And then others had even more. Imagine that, more. And now I want to talk about arguably like the worst part of it all, the fucking management. Like, I have never in my 25 years on this floating dirt ball of seeing such incompetent, intellectually inept, and quite frankly, brain dead management teams. These fuckers can't communicate, can't plan, and can't explain a goddamn thing. And let you have a problem with anything that they said, and like, you know, hope that they can help you navigate through what was misunderstood or maybe a problem that you had. Nope, they'll just send it to someone else.
I'll put this power to good use.
In the worst cases, you have a problematic student that has had multiple complaints from multiple teachers because you just keep switching the student to different classes for some reason. He fights other students, bites others, scratches, hits teachers. Oh, what should we do? Let's give him a free winter course. Yeah. After he decided to turn our classroom into Fight Club and act shocked when other parents decide, you know what? This ain't shit. I'm pulling my student out and I want a refund. That's another thing in all, in like of a video of its own, because those parents have a really hard time getting a refund for whatever reason. And then you turn around and blame the teachers. And don't get me started on the time that they dragged us into a 2-hour-long meeting after the winter course, only to berate us the whole center about like how we didn't meet sales and it's how it's all our fault for poor quality teaching, while ignoring the elephant in the room, the fact that everyone except one person, because she took away all her classes, is working as hard as they possibly can under these circumstances. This heartbeat had the gall and the chutzpah to ask us what we can do to be better teachers. This place is run by morons, I swear. Also, for anyone else who claims for someone who claims that they were an English major and a teacher for so many years, she sure has a hard time speaking in full sentences. Like actually, she sounds like she's like typing sentences into DeepSeek and having it pick sentences for us. Also, the amount of time where things are like changes are like implemented or just changed on a whim are just frustrating as hell. All because management teams do not communicate with each other before announcing like some bullshit at a meeting. I'll bring an example. Tripling the homework that the students have to do and changing how we conduct assessments. Like we switched from using the iPad to paper, which creates more time for us to have to grade things. We used to have 7 days to grade a test and like give it back to students. Reasonable amount of time. Now it's fucking 3 days. As of now, like at least before when I left, they changed it to 3 days. I don't know how the hell someone's gonna manage to do that because you have 16 students. That's 32 papers plus the writing test. That's 16 more papers. Who has time for this? Like actually. And then for the younger students, we need to, more efficiently use the minutes in the classroom because parents are paying 6 R&D per minute. Why? We want us to have this. I don't know. Whatever that lanky bitch said, I don't know. Now for the worst part, when you decide that you've like had enough, or God forbid you want to stay, they will jump through so many hoops to prevent that. For example, not handing over essential documents that you need to find another job. I say this because at the end of my contract, I wanted to stay because my delusional ass thought, I could help change things, only to get hit with the 1-2 fuck you combo of, we're rejecting your renewal because you're not a good fit for our center and your teaching isn't right for our environment. This was some bullshit that rat-faced 4-eyed bitch came up with. Her and her palm tree ass bestie. I don't know what crack they were smoking at. But circling back to the documents I mentioned, here you need 3 documents to transfer to another job after leaving the current one. You need a cancellation letter, a release letter, and a reference letter. I'll say that with a star next to it because in some provinces and cities they have different requirements, so having all 3 helps make everything smoother. Well, not if you're me. They outright acted like the 3 blind mice when it came to simply doing a reference letter. A simple ass project, simple ass process. They took every bone in my being to not crash out and be the angry nigga after going to multiple departments and asking multiple people for this simple ass thing, only to get met with circular talk at every corner. Oh, we don't have the authorization to give the company stamp. Actually, no one has ever gotten a reference letter from here. So fast forward like 12 hours, I get the reference letter after, crawling through like broken glass in the desert, and no company stamp because they don't have the authorization. So this thing is basically useless, just as useless as that damn TEFL certification that they had you do through their systems. Yeah, that's not real, by the way, so you're better off getting your own TEFL certification. Because theirs can't even be authenticated because we don't have transcripts or anything. Oh, and speaking of authentications, they keep all of that shit. Like, say they tell you to bring all of your original documents because they need them to process your visa, and then they keep all of those authentications. So you're left with your dick in your hand if you want to go somewhere else. So then I had to pay out of pocket to get new certifications for everything. So at least now, these certifications are mine. But before I move on to my last point, I just want to point out that I have never seen such malice and incompetence in the workplace. And I hope for that shit to get Thanos snapped away like that. But of course, without affecting the livelihood of my coworkers. They were really, we supported each other through everything. Through getting blindsided with new courses, summer and winter course coming up, new bullshit changes that come up every other day now, and random observations and feedback sessions that don't make any sense and have no point. But yeah, we were real ones, supported each other. I liked my coworkers, and it was a clear sentiment that there were people in the office that we could trust, and that we can have a heart-to-heart talk to about how things are going. And then there were, your workplace snitches. Fuck them, actually. See, because, I don't know, you would have to be blind, deaf, or mute to, sit there and act like there are no problems at work. At the job, for the team that you manage. But then let somebody make a mistake from being overworked. Boom, warning letter. Boom, development letter. Boom, unemployed. Well, to end on, the experience was a mixed bag. Biting into a tintored chicken wing, expecting peach flavor, and getting cauliflower in return. Or you can say it was bittersweet. The friends I made along the way were great, and they're going to be along for a lifetime because they were real ones. But on the other hand, the pestilence me and others had to go through by our management team that's incredibly incompetent and might have extra problems, I don't know. It just sours the whole field, you know what I mean? Especially when it came to the ending. All right, now we're at the end of the video. I just want to put the disclaimer that this is my experience. I didn't name anyone specifically, so if the shoe fits, wear it type shit. And yeah, I like to thank you for like sitting here through this whole TED Talk, my story time, or whatever the hell you want to call it. If you feel like it, you can drop a like, a comment, subscribe if you want to, or dislike it if you dislike it. Yeah, see ya.